It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Texas Women's University's assistant women's soccer coach, Coach Alyssa Taramona. How are you doing today?
Good, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college women's soccer?
Well, at first I didn't know I wanted to be a college coach. Growing up, I always wanted to be a teacher, and then when I hit high school, I found my passion for coaching soccer. But it wasn't until after I graduated from St. Mary's and my head coach, Coach Corbin Rich, offered me the graduate assistant position. And so when I did that, after my first season, I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the level of play, the impact that you make on the players, just for that long lasting, impact and memories that you make whenever you're in college. So I would say after my first year of being a graduate assistant, I that's when I knew it was for me.
What was that playing experience like for you going to St. Mary's and getting to play women's soccer for them?
It was a great experience. I had the opportunity to play all 4 years. Whenever I first got there, I'm the first person to graduate from my high school that went on to play college athletics. And so I wasn't eligible at first. The NCAA didn't recognize my high school. And so I was not eligible for the first few games, but as soon as I got eligible, I was able to get on the field, become the starting goalkeeper, and just be able to compete almost on that weekly basis. So it was really great to be able to play and not have to sit and watch someone older than me, and like learn as I go, but I was able to get that experience right away.
What was that feeling like for you to get to put on that St. Mary's uniform and representing them?
It was exhilarating. After not being eligible to play, it just kind of ignited my fire to keep working hard so that when that moment came, I was ready. And so it was kind of like a finally, finally I can play type feeling.
Throughout your collegiate soccer playing experience, what were some of your biggest accomplishments at St. Mary's?
Um, I would definitely say being in the record book after 4 years of competing was is pretty exciting. I still am the first and most saves in a single season in the record book, and then also most saves in a career. So that's a huge accomplishment that I'm really proud of.
How does that feel to hold that record and have people trying to break that record?
It's exciting because I never thought of myself as kind of that record breaker type person. I was just gonna work my butt off and do the best that I could. And so it's really kind of cool. And then I look back after seasons and just go see what they've accomplished, what they've done, and what the keepers have done specifically to see kind of where they're at and if my record would be broken, which would be a bittersweet moment because then it means that St. Mary's is growing and getting some better players, but it also, um, obviously, I would lose that lose that title. But I think it'd be a very bittersweet moment to see them succeed in that way.
Of course, what was that experience like for you being that goalkeeper for the St. Mary's soccer team?
Um, I mean, it was a lot of hard work, so it wasn't necessarily all rainbows and butterflies. My first 2 years, we were off campus, so we had to commute to our practices. We had different goalkeeper coaches kind of rotating through. So getting the experience to be coached by different types of personalities, different coaching philosophies and things like that. And then especially my last 2 years, I feel like I grew immensely with being able to correct some correct some bad habits that I did have and being able to expand my game. And then kind of shifting to the coaching standpoint, I learned a lot about what I do really like about coaching and some things that I would want to change. And so I think that there's a beauty in not having a perfect experience or a really constantly high experience, because it allows you to better relate to your athletes and allows you to kind of reflect as a coach as to how do I want to handle this situation.
Coming out of college, what was that experience like getting into coaching it and coaching on the club level?
It was really great. So I actually started coaching soccer at the club level in 2013. I just did some small goalkeeper lessons back in my hometown. Um, but it allowed me to gain experience of not just coaching the older players, but also being able to coach, I mean, a wide variety of from elementary school to high school of goalkeepers, and even being able to learn under other goalkeeper coaches. Chris Fiddler, who was at University of Incarnate Word on the men's side, I worked under him for a little bit with SA City. And so being able to learn the different drills, different approaches, different techniques to be able to broaden my knowledge.
After your time on the club level of coaching, what was that like going back to St. Mary's and becoming an assistant coach there?
So it was kind of all intertwined. It wasn't necessarily clean breaks or anything like that. And as I'm sure you know, college athletics isn't necessarily, especially with women's soccer, it's not really necessarily where the money is. So you got to kind of pay your dues and do all the work. But I think that it prepared me because I was understanding of what it took to be a coach and how to explain things to players, how to change up your terminology or your approach depending on the player to make sure that they're understanding what you're saying and what you're needing from them. So I think it was a great experience of having both to better prepare me for that GA position.
What was that experience like for you to go to your alma mater and get to coach on the sidelines versus being on the field playing?
Um, it was really cool, first of all, of just kind of seeing that full circle and seeing kind of how the alma mater, like how you wouldn't go from playing to the seeing the backside of things and how much work goes in to the other side. So that was really cool, but it was definitely very difficult. I would say it was probably one of the most difficult things that I've had to do so far, just because going from playing with your teammates to coaching them and finding that fine line, setting those boundaries and those expectations of here I'm coach, I'm not here to be friends, and making that clean break.
What was that like for you going from being an assistant coach to then getting the job as a head coach for Shriner, becoming a head coach?
It was a big transition, honestly. Going into it as rose-colored glasses. Personally, I didn't think I was ready for it. I talked to my coach, and who talked me up and gave me that support. But going from supporting in a program to completely leading a program and leading another assistant, it was a lot of learning curves, a lot of mistakes were made. But it was a great opportunity to kind of be thrown into the fire after 3 years of being a GA and just learning on the fly, doing what you need to do, and even just talking with, the coaches that I was coaching within that department, but also going back to Coach Rich and asking for his advice in certain situations.
During that time, what was that feeling like becoming a head coach for the first time in your coaching career?
Again, it was really exciting. It was something where I had to kind of talk myself up and build my confidence into it. But it was a privilege to be trusted with running a program, and I'm super thankful for that experience because I don't think I would be where I'm at now if it wasn't for that experience there at Shriner.
What were some of your accomplishments at Shriner as the head coach?
So it was definitely again, a big transition with going from D2 to D3. And then also the number of players that we had. We didn't, typically in D3, you want to have between 26 to 30, 32 players. And I don't remember the exact amount that we had, but we had less than that. And so going from injuries, trying to get girls fit, things like that. But two of the biggest things that I'm really proud of the players was their tenacity and we never gave up. The girls that I coached at Shriner, it didn't matter who they were going up against. They were going to leave it all on the field at all times. And then another thing that super proud of is we were able to beat University of Mary Hardin Baylor for the first time in program history. And so that was really good. The girls, it was really fun on the bus on that ride back.
Of course, after Shriner, what was that experience like getting your next head coaching opportunity?
So I wasn't necessarily looking to leave Shriner, but I'm originally from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and so the move that I made next was to East Texas, which was 3 hours away from my parents compared to 5. And so transitioning to another D3 program that was just in a different conference, it was again another great opportunity. Super thankful for being chosen to be and to have that privilege of leading that program for a few years. But a big part of that decision was to get closer to family and be more involved, especially in my little siblings' lives.
What was that transition like for you from going from your previous coaching stop where you were a head coach to coming to Texas Women's University to become the assistant coach?
Definitely a big transition, going from head for 3 years to being an assistant. But what I was really yearning for and hungry for was to learn. I had learned under one coach as a GA, and then I was kind of thrown out on my own. And so there's something to say about learning, by experience. But I chose to come to TWU because of it. I mean, prestigious. It's prestigious. Um, sorry, trying to think of the word, but the history and like the record, and it was a really good program. And even learning under a coach that had been there for 10 going on 11 years of he's had a lot of soccer knowledge, a lot of success. And so I wanted to learn a different way about going things and seeing what it takes to be successful at that next level.
What was that experience like coming to Texas Women's University where the sports were just primarily for the women and getting to coach women's athletes?
Um, at first, I didn't really think too much of it, but now after going into my second season, it is absolutely remarkable to only be at a school with only women's sports. Whenever you have men's sports, you're always there's sharing those resources, traveling together potentially, um, trying to figure out and schedule time on the field and the weight room. So there's a lot more things to finagle, but here at TWU, we only have 2 fall sports, volleyball and soccer, that are in their competition season. And so being able to just have that full support of the athletic department, and even being able to put all of our resources in our female athletes, is a pretty remarkable experience.
What is that feeling like for you as the assistant coach to step onto that field for the first time?
It was exciting. It's always exhilarating starting a season with a new team. And just being able to see the players after putting their work in during preseason and seeing how we can compete, how we can gel, and being able to kind of solve problems on the fly. And it was also really great to see just the different setup, the different resources that TW has compared to the previous schools that I have, because the support staff, with respect to the um, game day staff, and being able to feed the girls before our home games, and just things like that that really give you a great student athlete experience.
As a coach for TWU, what does a typical game day look like for you as a coach versus for your players?
So game day for obviously it depends on a weekday or weekend, but it typically starts off by meeting in the office, going and setting up the field, and then talking about our starting lineup, what our strategy is going to be, and then of course going to get the food and figuring out who's going to get the stuff to feed the girls for their pregame meal, and then about an hour and a half before kickoff, we'll go into a classroom and have our pregame talk. And then the rest is go mode of going to the field, getting the girls warmed up, and then competing. And then as for the girls, on weekdays they have class. They'll go to class, they'll go to our athletic trainers to get treatment, go get fed, and then again go to the classroom for our pregame talk. So it's busy, but on both sides, just a different time.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped to build for the TWU's women's soccer program?
Yeah, so we are really big on culture, and I know a lot of programs say that, but it's something that I feel like we truly live out on a daily basis with having individual meetings with our players on a weekly or biweekly basis, with having weekly meetings with our leaders. We have different groups with respect to fashion or food group or social, to where all the girls are involved in a different group so their voices are being heard. And so it's definitely a very tight-knit, family-oriented environment. And I mean, let's be honest, sisters fight. And so being able to teach the girls like how to approach different things, conflict resolution, how to think in a different way. So it's not just focused on soccer by any stretch. It's something that we're wanting to empower our young women to take ownership in their experience, to really develop good relationships with the coaching staff, but also with their teammates, and being able to make it an experience that they're going to leave with no regrets, that they're just going to leave it all on the field, all in the classroom, and just leave their 4 years or 5 years with great memories.
Who are some of the teams that you compete against each week in your conference?
Yeah, so Lone Star is one of the biggest conferences in D2. And so some of the teams that we compete against are Dallas Baptist University, which is right down the road, Midwestern State, Angelo State, St. Mary's, competing against the alma mater. And then we do go out of state for Eastern New Mexico, all the way in Portales, and then Oklahoma Christian in Oklahoma. So, but we're primarily in Texas.
Of course, what is that atmosphere like when teams like Dallas Baptist comes to home?
I mean, high energy. Our girls are ready to compete. We strive to win. Yes, we want to focus on the process and what we need to do to get there, and set small goals. But our ultimate goal is to win, and we want to continue to fight towards having a conference tournament berth and then the NCAA berth. But we try to treat every single game as it's the biggest game in our season. And so being able to focus game by game and prepare the girls, both tactically, technically, and mentally, to be able to compete with some of the best teams in the nation.
As a coach in an alma mater, what is that like for you to go compete against St. Mary's, your alma mater?
It's exciting. And I know I keep on saying that a lot, but I see it as an opportunity, and it's something where I'm really competitive. So I want to win. I want us to beat them and to be able to show what we've been working on.
What is that home game atmosphere like for Texas Women's University versus going away to play?
Obviously, playing at home has that home field advantage with, again, since we are only women's sports, we actually get to train on the game field that we compete on. So we're very familiar, and we just have that advantage of training 24/7 on our field. But our fans are absolutely phenomenal. Our athletic department is very supportive, where we'll have different themed nights, different groups come out, sometimes walk out the girls. But being able to be surrounded by people that are supporting us and vocal and really getting rowdy and surrounding the team. Some of the biggest games are our SAC games, and that's where the SAC chooses for all the teams to attend in the department, and then the student athlete love and support from one another. It's unmatched.
As a college soccer coach, what is that like? Obviously, seeing your players get to practice on that game field that they will be playing on.
I mean, it's great. Obviously, we really try to periodize and schedule our practices to where it's going to most benefit them to prepare them for the games, whether it's on the field, in film, individual meetings. But it's always nice to be able to train on a game field.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective women athletes out there looking to play collegiate soccer?
So everyone's process is different, and I just want to preface it with that. Everyone's journey is different, and so being able to not compare, but just be in the moment with what your journey is recruiting. And obviously that depends on the university, the coach, and everything like that. But some advice would be definitely to just over communicate, emails, phone calls, things like that. Make sure that the coach knows who you are, what your name is, sending film, inviting out to games. One privilege, again, that we have being local in Dallas-Fort Worth area is that we have a lot of great soccer in our backyard, and a lot of the league play is only less than an hour away from us. And so during season, we're still able to go out and recruit and be able to watch some players and to be able to identify those future pioneers.
Of course, as a coach, what is that like? Obviously, getting to recruit in that big state of Texas and having that home advantage of getting to recruit in cities like Dallas.
It's a big advantage, and it's really nice being able to go have a tournament to go recruit at, but still sleeping in your own bed. It just there's something about sleeping in your own bed that makes you more energized to recruit the next day. But I do think it's definitely a privilege. Coaches from all over the nation come to different tournaments here in Dallas Fort Worth, and we get to just stay here. So most of our players are from this area.
What are some of the things that you look at in those players when out recruiting in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
So we tell players that we want them to own their superpower, to just really embrace it and get really good at it. And so we don't want to change the player from who they are, what they like to do. Their time at TWU is just to help them get better at that and to expand their skill sets. And so, college and especially the Lone Star Conference is harder, faster, stronger. It is very competitive. It's very physical. And so we want competitive individuals that are willing to put their body on the line, be able to be physical and to compete alongside a player that might be 2, 3, 4 years older than them. But I would say that those are some of the things, mainly just being confident on the ball, on the field, and doing what you do best.
At TWC, what is that experience like seeing those prospective student athletes on the official visits?
Um, we always love having players come on visits because that means that we're just super interested in them and that we want them to come play for us. And so it's always exciting because you go back to your recruiting career or your recruiting process and how you felt and how you were nervous, you were excited that you're about to make a really big decision for the next 4 years of your life. And so knowing that they're trusting us with that and that they're looking for a future home, I personally don't take that very lightly. We want to make it a good experience. We want to build a relationship, and we want to make sure that they're choosing us for the right reasons and that we're able to help them achieve what they want to achieve on and off the field.
As a coach, what is that like seeing the freshmen put on their first Texas Women's University uniform for the first time?
Again, it's exciting. I mean, typically the first time we see them in their uniform is media day, so they're all dolled up and really excited about taking pictures, videos, things like that. But as for game, they're nervous, they're excited, but it's just reminding them and encouraging them and instilling confidence that they're here for a reason and that it's just soccer. It's what they've been playing for their entire life. And so it's something where it's just what an honor to be able to help give a young lady an opportunity to achieve her dreams and pursue her dreams.
What is that like getting to see those seniors put on that last Texas Women's University jersey for the last time representing Texas Women's?
Um, Obviously, there's a lot of mixed emotions. As a coach, especially if they've been with us for 4 years or 2 years when it comes to transfer, there's a sense of pride of that they've gone through it, that they've done it, and that they've been able to balance academics and athletics to find that success and to continue playing. Because college athletics is not an easy task to go through. It's something that's going to challenge you mentally, physically, emotionally. And so it's definitely a sense of pride for them.
What is that like, obviously, getting to see those college soccer players get to live out their dream and playing college soccer, but then going on to live out their dream of playing professional soccer?
Oh, that's honestly a lot of little girls' dreams. Whenever you're young, you're always dreaming, oh, I want to play in the Olympics. I want to go pro. I want to do these things. So the players that do make it, it's just really exciting for them. Just knowing that they're living out their dream and they've busted their butts. They've worked really hard to accomplish that.
What are some of your future plans for the Texas Women's University soccer program moving forward?
I mean, again, we want to compete. We want to get that we want to make it to the conference tournament and compete to win that. And we want to again work on getting an NCAA postseason berth. We want to make it to the tournament. And so for me, those are our big goals, but we want to make sure that we're staying focused in our daily activities when it comes to practice, academics, eating right, sleeping right, taking care of our bodies. So a lot of those small goals will help us get to that big goal.
What advice would you give those college freshmen soccer players entering for the first time collegiate soccer?
Go in knowing you made it to this level for a reason. You've picked your home, you've done the work so far, but just understanding that the work isn't done yet and it's only going to get more challenging. A lot of the times college soccer is going to be the most challenging thing you've done up in life thus far. So being mentally resilient, not just giving up when an obstacle comes your way, asking questions to the upperclassmen, to the coaches, being curious. And if something's not going your way, go talk to the coaches. The more conversations you have, the more understanding that you have of your coaches and of your teammates, the better experience that you'll have.
What advice would you give those college soccer players out there looking to play professionally, whether it's the NWSL or the U.S. Women's National Team?
The grind doesn't stop. You got to keep working hard. Every level, every step up comes with new challenges and new speed of play, new physicality, technical ability, everything like that. And just like college is the best of the best, obviously that's the case for that next level too. And so working hard towards your dreams will ultimately be worth it.
What advice would you give those college soccer players out there looking to get into college coaching like you have?
First of all, I'm all for it. That's really exciting for anytime I meet a young, especially a female coach, but any young coach getting into the game, I was given a chance, and that's something that it's not taken lightly, and I want to move past forward. And so just working hard, a lot of the times it's paying your dues. Whenever I was a graduate assistant, I worked 3 to 5 jobs at one time just to be able to afford to live and get the experience that I wanted. And so understanding that most coaches that are in this role right now paid their dues, they work tireless hours with not necessarily getting the pay that they would like. But knowing the impact that you make through the 4 years of such a transformative time for young women and men is definitely worth it if you're passionate about it.
What advice would you give those future assistant coaches out there looking to get into women's soccer?
I would definitely say be open-minded. Don't be afraid to speak up and speak your opinion, even if it's against the grain. And again, be ready to work. I mean, it's not easy to be an assistant coach. Your job is to support the head coach, and ultimately it's a team. It's not just you and then the head coach. It's y'all are one team doing everything that you can to give your student athletes the best experience, the best opportunity to be successful on the field. So making sure to have that mindset and ready to um, to make sure that you're speaking up, giving your opinion, but also willing to put in the hours.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Texas Women's University Women's Soccer Program out?
So Texas Women's is at TWU_soccer. And then my Twitter is at Coach Taramona.
Thank you again, Coach Alyssa Taramona, for your interview, and best luck in your future at TWU as the assistant women's soccer coach.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Alyssa Taramona, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.